Hey everyone, let's get out of the studio today and talk about Xenoblade Chronicles X, the definitive edition. That's right, Xenoblade Chronicles X, the definitive edition, finally launches on the Nintendo Switch. It is out and I've been playing it for a number of hours. I just want to come in today and talk about my first impressions and, get out of the studio a little bit. It actually reminds me of the full deep dive review that I did of Xenoblade Chronicles, the first game in the series. Published that a few years ago. I'll link it up here in the channel if you guys want to watch it. Many of you love that video because I was just sort of out walking around through the forest and enjoying nature, because that game is just a game of exploration and being out in the, in the wilderness and, with that beautiful soundtrack. So I thought, yeah, I'm going to do that again right now to give my first impressions of this game. So yeah, I've been playing it for a number of hours. I'm not very deep into the game. I think I'm on the third chapter right now, but I have enough to just come in and talk about my first impressions of this. And let me just say, what a great feeling. I just want to talk about my feelings. Can I talk about my feelings with this game? How does it make me feel? And honestly, it's so great to be back in this universe again. It's like a nice warm blanket. Jumping back into the Xenoblade universe, from that opening cutscene laying out this story about how you're crash landing on this planet from survivors of Earth, and you've got to help the surviving colony. It's a very focused story where the other Xenoblade games are really big and broad. No, you're here just to help these people survive. And that's really what this story is all about. And it's a great entry point to the Xenoblade series. Like, if you've not jumped into any of these other games, you don't have to have played the other games. This is a standalone story, and of course it was held on the Nintendo Wii U for so long. So I thought it was going to die a slow death over there. It was really, I don't want to say a hidden gem, but it was really one of the stars of the Wii U. It was sort of languishing over there. So this is really the last one in the series that didn't make it to the Nintendo Switch until now. Okay, so right out of the gate, you're building a character in a character designer, which is great. There's two genders, imagine that, a male and a female, and it's 2025, who would have thought? But this game is 10 years old, by the way. So you get to pick, male or female, design your character. I, came up with a guy that looks like long hair, 1970s. He's got like a 1970s mustache. He's my drifter, and he doesn't talk. He just listens. He just kind of nods. And you, of course, can change your classes and party later in the game as things unfold. But, the game seems overwhelming at first because you're getting hit with all sorts of tutorials and menu options and things to explain the game. But the pacing is actually pretty good. And if you are new to Xenoblade, this is a perfect place to start because it is a standalone story, so you don't have to go back and have done the other games. But I will say about the tutorials that they're throwing at you, they're like telling you a lot of small things that maybe aren't really relevant to you at all, or that you don't care about, but they're sort of excluding some of the big things that I would want a tutorial about, which I found interesting. So you might have to suffer through a couple of hours of different tutorial menus that are popping up as you go through the first sort of introduction prologue and the first and second chapters. You're going to be hit with a lot of things. Plus, there's a lot of things that are just totally locked for you right now. Things like these giant mechs that I cannot wait to jump into at some point, which look amazing. But apparently I'm going to have to wait like many, many hours before I'm jumping into one of these mech suits. Also, just using different terminals throughout the area called New Los Angeles, which is like the greatest name ever, New Los Angeles. There are a lot of things that you're not able to unlock in the very beginning of the game, so these things will come to you as the game unfolds. Again, Xenoblade, filled with massive amounts of side quests if you choose to do them. The main storyline, if you just mainline the story, you could probably get through it in maybe 30, 40 hours. If you want to do all the side quests, you're looking at over 100 hours, which is the amount of time that I spent in Xenoblade Chronicles 1. And the side quests are a lot of fun because at the time you're going off to fulfill these side quests, you're also battling enemies and you're leveling up and you're having fun. So it's not just sort of fetch quests, which I think was a lot of the complaint about Xenoblade Chronicles 1, just a lot of fetch quests that really are kind of meaningless. In this game, you're doing things that really feel like you're part of this story. And I will say, I think the thing that stands out for me from this story is that it feels like a more concise story. It's simpler to wrap your head around because Xenoblade Chronicles 1, a massive story, massive story arc. This, you're crash landed on a planet, you're a surviving colony, there's bad guys outside of the colony doors, and you've got to help this colony survive. And how do you fit in? How do you become part of this team that's trying to kill these bad guys that are outside the colony walls? That's basically what you're focused on. And also searching the world for any other survivors who may have also crash landed on this planet. Simple, focused, and and I'm totally there for it. Really great story, and I'm loving it. So let's talk about the combat. One of the things I love about Xenoblade games is you kind of get into a bit of a rhythm. Maybe I don't know if that's the best way to describe it or not, but that's what I felt when I played Xenoblade Chronicles 1, is that you've got a party, and the way in which you attack and how the party members attack and what your response to their attacks all plays in a nice sort of rhythm. How quickly you can press that B button to get a perfect attack. Did you press it too early? Then you got a good response. You didn't press it properly at all, you pressed it too quickly, you failed. But if you press it just right, you're gonna get a perfect attack.
I'm still in. Let's get in their face.
But you're also responding to other party members who might yell out to you, hey, do this to topple the enemy.
Now, topple them with some gunfire.
So I'm gonna quickly look through my arts or my attacks and choose the one that's gonna topple my enemy. Great, that was in response to the other party member. So it's like a rhythm. It's like a nice, I play a lot of music, and I was in a band, played saxophone in a band, and you have to be a part of that group, right? And the way the orchestra, the conductor is leading you, and that's kind of how it feels. You're part of this team, and you get into a rhythm of these attacks. So you make an attack, your party member does something and then yells for you to do something, then you're responding, then you can go back to making a defensive move or healing people, and it all kind of plays well. And so I'm really digging the combat. And you know what I did this time? Is that I really focused on learning the combat right out of the gate. Because I found in the past Xenoblade game that I played, it took me many, many hours before I really started focusing and then watching tutorials on YouTube to really understand it. And this time I said, no, I'm gonna learn it right out of the gate. And I found that I didn't even need to watch any YouTube videos. I just went right in, and I was able to figure out, just based on the tutorials and some of the menu tips in the tips menu, and I was able to get it. And I had a lot of fun with that. Really, really nice. Again, early stages here, let's just talk about this world. It's beautiful. I found myself taking a bunch of screen captures, screen grabs, as I was exploring this world. Just beautiful vistas, gorgeous environments, a world that I'd love to be in. And it's a reminder that we don't need to spend $200 million on a project to get unbelievable graphics, with ray tracing and all of the other things that everyone's talking about these days. No, this is a 10-year-old game, and I'm there for it. It looks absolutely stunning, running around this vast open world, and it is vast. I mean, as you're in New Los Angeles, the main sort of hub area, just to get from like one section to the other, if you're without fast travel, I mean, it can take many, many minutes. It's enormous, the scale and size of this game. And you'll notice that once you open up a lot of the different side quests as well, sort of in the honeycomb patterns. Oh my God, there's so many things that I can do here. And what I love about this game is that there are things you can like do and kind of ignore. Like you're putting these pods into the ground as one of an early side quest, and you'll find that these putting of pods into the ground will unlock different buffs and abilities for you. The way in which you put these pods into the ground, and it's like, okay, it's a little overwhelming, but you don't have to let it overwhelm you. You can just take it in small doses if you want, and in some ways you can ignore it. I mean, there was a lot in Xenoblade Chronicles 1 that I largely ignored. I know I have friends who've beat that game, put like 150 hours into Xenoblade Chronicles 1, and they're like, yeah, I didn't really even care about like the gem crafting system, which to other people might be blasphemous. What? How are you ignoring the gem crafting system? But you can do that. You can sort of like pick and choose what things you want to really pay attention to as you're leveling up your characters and adding different buffs for battle and things like that. So let's talk a little bit more about the combat though. You get a short-range weapon like a knife or a sword, or a long-range weapon like a gun. And of course, the closer you are when you're using the sword, you're obviously more effective. If you're further away with your long-range attack, it's going to be less strong, less damage, but of course you don't take as much damage because you're standing further away from the animals, from the beasts. I'll also say this is one of those games where you can kind of kick back, maybe put on an audiobook or listen to some music, or maybe do something else in the background, which I'll do that from time to time. I'll watch a few YouTube videos or things like that from some of my favorite creators. Like I'll put on a Happy Console Gamer video, or like Radical Reggie maybe has a new pickups video or something like that. Like I'll pop on one of those videos if it's 40 minutes long, and I'll just play this game, and you can kind of grind. It's not one of those games where you have to be sitting there focused entirely on a story. You'll get text as the story develops a little bit, but mostly if you're just exploring and going into battles, it's a nice, like, mentally relaxing game where it doesn't require your massive full attention like some JRPGs might, or some like action platforming games or something like that. So I will say in that way I enjoy it. You know, I do like being able to put on some other content from time to time. Not always, but sometimes, and this is one of those games. Let's talk about the music a little bit here. It's kind of great on the one hand and kind of filler music on the other. There's some great battle sequences. There's some really epic music. Fantastic. And then there's some other just kind of filler music where you're kind of wandering around. It's just kind of boring. Again, maybe a reason why to put on a vinyl in the background or listen to some content, because yeah, some of the music is fantastic. Some of it is like, wow, sounds kind of schizophrenic. On the one hand, the things I don't even seem to match, like two different soundtracks kind of shoved together in one. But overall, I am there for this game, wanting to find out where this massive life pod crash landed on the planet. Are there other survivors that you can go and rescue as well? Where are they in this vast world? Battling these enemies, protecting this colony, all of it I am totally there for. Even if I do put 100 hours into this game, it's going to be 100 hours that I will absolutely love to relax and enjoy Xenoblade Chronicles X, the definitive edition. So yeah, I just wanted to come outside today and give you sort of my first impressions of playing this game for like 5 or 6 hours. And I can't wait to get back to it, actually. After a long day of work, great to sit down for a few hours and play this game. So let me know, are you guys buying Xenoblade Chronicles X? Have you already played it? Are you halfway through it? Where are you right now in this game? Thank you guys so much for subscribing. Thanks for joining me outside for a little nice sunny day to talk about one of my favorite series of all time. We'll see you next time, everyone.